All right. Welcome in to the high noon, not the high noon rant. Welcome into the rant with me, Pugs Moran. See, I do this opening where I just rant. A lot of it is just muscle memory, memory. It's memory. And we used to call it the high noon rant for a long time, and we don't call it that anymore. Now it's just the rant, because calling it the high noon rant came with two problems. The first one was it sort of committed me to starting right at top of the hour 12, and more times than not, that didn't happen. The other thing about it was that everybody was like, so is it like for stoners, man? Is it like a show for the high noon, man? We supposed to all get a high? I'm like, no, it's not that either. Although how you choose to utilize your time is none of my business. And if that's what's happening on your end, then maybe it will be accurate, but only by happenstance, not by my doing. So we called it the rant, and I still trip over that. How is everybody doing today? I'm Pugs Moran. Come to the chat room. Come one, come all. Like, follow, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Every day we get together here around this time, and I put together and get all excited about breaking news, current events, hot topics, trends. I give you everything that you need to know, the kind of stuff the talk radio used to provide you before they decided to go all in on like defensive cover schemes, and whether or not 12-man personnel is something that works in the modern NFL. Okay, or politics. We do something different here. We talk about just the world, any stories that are happening. Now, unfortunately, we do dabble in a little politics because it's inescapable. And even us normal people who the show is for normal people who do not almost entirely define themselves by who they're voting for in November. Well, I'm just MAGA. That's all I am. What else are you? MAGA. What do you think of this person? I don't know. I gotta wait to hear what everybody thinks of. How do they vote? MAGA. Or you got the crazy, libs screaming at you on the other side. Take that yard sign down. By the way, in my neighborhood, yard signs. It's yard sign season. We got a dude in my neighborhood. Okay, it's crazy. We got a dude in my neighborhood who's got a Trump blow up. Right now, I live in the Highland Park cities. I live on the campus of SMU. Okay, it's in Texas. It's very conservative. You would expect for my neighbor to have a big 8-foot-tall, "Make America Great Again" inflatable of Trump. By the way, I told you about this guy. This is the guy down the block that has the Minions. It's really cute. It's like Halloween blow up things, and it's a nice yard. It's Minions. It's not, I'm going to break into your house and murder you Halloween. It's more like, boo, let's eat candy Halloween. Because there's two kinds of Halloween. Our buddy E, he's got the giant Grim Reaper dangling in the dead baby, which may not be a dead baby. His wife Wendy explained to me that maybe it's not a dead baby, and she made good points. But it's still grim. It's still the Grim Reaper, and it's bloody, and it's scary, and it's about slaughtering you. And meanwhile, the other people on the block have Minions. Well, now the Minion people have added a big 7-foot-tall blow-up, "Make America Great Again" Trump guy. It's hysterical. It blows in the wind, and he's like, man, he's doing the Trump thumbs up. He's got the red hat, and that's totally normal. That's like for the neighborhood. It's like, yeah, man, that's on brand. All right, my guy. He's got the nice Minions, and then he's got giant inflatable Trump blowing in the wind, rocking back and forth. I'll take a picture of it. But that's not the story. The story is the people right across the street on the campus of SMU. In the Highland Park proper. I mean, we're talking about a town that has like ex-conservative presidents living there. Supreme Court justices living there. It's that neighborhood. Adjacent, if you will, snuggled directly between the Dallas Country Club and the campus of SMU. I mean, we're talking Texas conservative ground zero. So the dude with the inflatable Trump blown in the wind, "Make America Great Again" hat, he's awesome. He's on brand. He shouldn't be affecting anybody with that. Right across the street, big white sign, Harris Waltz. And I'm like, you fuckers, do not turn this beautiful block where I walk the dog CeeLo every day, 3 times a day. Do not turn this into a war zone. But it's ballsy. It's ballsy. And I have to say, in this case, see, we like to talk about being normal people, okay? Just be normal. Just be normal. Stop being weird. Stop being 15% weird on the right and 15% weird on the left. The 70% of us, we can be normal and we can get along and we don't have to all vote for the same thing. But we can be cool like normal times used to be. Okay, so that's 70% of us. So in this, like I said, on brand, the Trump inflatable thing, there are a lot of Trump signs in that neighborhood. It's not off brand. But the dude across the street who and what's with the timing? How is it like the very next day or 2 days later, the Harris Waltz sign goes up? You're being unnecessarily, Harris Waltz supporters, you're being unnecessarily antagonistic. And I'm going to tell you why, because you're like, Pugs, it's the principle. They should be able to put that sign up. And I'm fine with it. And this isn't like the yard sign war we discussed last week, where it was just a woman who had a Harris Waltz sign and the neighbor was like, I'm selling my house, man. Can you take it down for the weekend? And she turned it into like a constitutional argument, which is just an asshole move. Just shut up. So my point on that was she should take the Harris Waltz sign down for the weekend and then put it right back up on Monday, because that's the deal. That's fine. Okay. But in my neighborhood, on a much lesser scale, this person's being kind. This is the person who put the Harris Waltz sign up directly across the street from the inflatable Make America Great Again Trump. Seriously, it's hypnotic to watch him like blow in the wind. It's funny. Anyway, the person who lives across the street from that, they're the ones. They could have just went, and I understand, maybe they were going to put a Harris Waltz sign up. Anyway, okay, and I'm willing to allow for that. That's why I say it's a much lesser crime. But it just seems, and it feels unnecessarily antagonistic, and that's what I am sick of. I'm sick of the antagonism. I'm sick of the expectation that I'm sick that my liberal friends, hate that I will compliment, people who are maybe not liberal or that I'm even would dare to be friends with. Who'd you go out with? That kind of thing. And I hate that my conservative friends, they just have. My conservative friends, my liberal friends are less realistic and more militant about, well, I don't even know how you can breathe the same air as that person. That's sort of the liberal take on me hanging out with conservatives. But my conservative friends' take on me hanging out with liberals is that they're just all evil. That seems to be the uniform take. It's not this weird emotional, they're bad, we don't like them, we can't even breathe the same air as them. The conservative on liberals, it's like liberals are subhuman. It's like they're not even. So it's a little different, although very much the same. And that's what we reject here on this show. This is current events talk, not like any that you'll find on some of your Rush Limbaugh, formerly Rush Limbaugh stations, or your AM talk radio. We just get into all the current events, and it's my view. It's who I'm going to tell you what I think of all of these things. I don't carry water for anybody. In fact, I'm not even voting this year. That's kind of a wrangly situation that I don't want to go into the details on a live stream. But I'm not voting this year. Oh, it's not because I'm a criminal or anything. I can legally vote. I'm just not voting. And I'm not endorsing anybody, even though I think people who listen to this show know that I think that one person's really bad and the other one is just so uninspiring and just next. So that's my take on politics, the presidential race anyway. So that's what you're going to get from me. What else do we need to do here over the weekend? Hey, how about this weather? Can we talk about this North Texas weather, y'all? Can we just get into this? Where have you been all my summer? This is amazing. It's like, what is it right now, temperature-wise? Let me see here. Phone's got to start up. That's right. Forgot to charge my phone last night, so I rolled into the E-Gallery studios this morning with 30%. Can't have that. All right, let's see what we got here. It is currently, at 8:28 a.m., that was, I guess, the last time I checked it. It was 71. It's now 75 degrees. Possible thunderstorms continuing. We had rain this morning. It was a gray Monday morning with rain and Oh, so nice, though. The temperature is so nice. I'll take the rain. I'll take the rain for just a few more days of temperatures in the 70s. Wouldn't that be incredible? Wouldn't that just be a great break? Except the problem here in stupid Texas that I love, don't get me wrong, but the problem here in stupid Texas is that shit floods like that. I believe they call them flash floods. Not really something I ever experienced living in the Midwest, the forested, river-valleyed Midwest, where water doesn't really seem to... There's always a river. There's always a river. Now, rivers might overflow, and then, don't live by a river, I think is the lesson we take from that. But I don't know. Everything floods here so quickly. So are we going to be in danger of that now? We should be so lucky. All right. Say hi to the chat room, my good friends there. Christina Nina says the heat was about to drive me to violence. Yeah, tell me about it. And it hasn't even been a bad summer. It is, by Texas standards, it has not been a bad summer, but this should just remind us that Texas summers just suck always. They're just too hot. Sometimes they're 10 to 15 degrees hotter than when they're too hot. And those are like the really bad ones. We didn't really have that this year. We had a number of days at 110, but not anything like scary ass like we've had in years past. Byron says, liberals are we-toted. See what I mean? The liberals will see even worse about him. It's just, Byron's one of our good conservative buddies in the chat room. We've got all kinds in the chat room. I encourage everybody to come in the chat room, mix it up, meet some friends. Everybody's cool. We don't allow fighting. We really don't. Even, I think I banned one person, and that was because, well, I don't need to talk about that. But one person is banned, and that person is even allowed back. That person wants. That's a complicated situation with the one person. But what I love about the chat room is that they regulate. So thank you. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. We've been here for 3 years now. We've been doing this for 3 years. Barney says, conservatives think liberals are misguided. Liberals think conservatives are Nazis. There's Barney. Sports Bras, Chris says, I hate how people judge you on who you vote, and then when you say I'm not voting, you are looked at like I murdered a puppy. I don't care. I'm not voting. Give me somebody being inspired by. I'll vote for that. Give me somebody. Just before I die, I want to fucking believe in an individual politician. And I want to believe in them for real reasons. Okay? like real authentic Mr. Smith goes to fucking DC reasons, man. And I got one guy I'm looking at. One guy I have been looking at for years now. He's a conservative, which is strange. And I've been telling my friends, we've been talking about this guy for years. Oh, he's a conservative. Oh, he's a Republican. Oh, I'm like, he's pretty fucking awesome, man. I used to listen to this radio show. I'm not going to tell you his name. Like, first of all, most of you don't know his name because he's one of them politicians who doesn't flock to the camera. Those are the ones you need to be wary of. The ones that are always turning up on talk. Here are the politicians you need to be wary of. If they're a congressman from a district more than, 500 miles from where you live and you know their name, they're a bullshit congressman. Congressmen are to be heard through legislation and not seen on Fox News. There's too many of them. We only know like 15 to 20 congressmen. We can rattle them off, and those are all the moths. There's like 400 people in Congress. There's like 400. There's like hundreds of congressmen who just actually do the job and don't chase Manu Raju down the halls of Congress in order to get, hey, I got something I want to say about the whole North Carolina thing. There's a lot of people in Congress whose names we don't know who are just like, yeah, it's fucked up at the higher levels. We like it down here because we can actually get shit done. And then those ones that rise to the top, the Matt Gaetzes, who nobody should know who he is. He is from an insignificant panhandle district, okay? He is insignificant as a congressman. We all know him. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, another one. We all know her. You shouldn't know her. You should know who's your congressman. Most people don't even know who their own congressmen are, but they will have an opinion on the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tlaib or whoever. They'll have opinions on them all, but they don't know the first fucking thing about their congressman. And if that's true and you can't even name your own congressman, then I bet your congressman's doing a pretty good job. I don't know. I think it's... Most people do not know who their congressman is. Yet they know congressmen. They know them. And those are the important. No, they're not. No, congress people are not important. They're just like cogs in a wheel, disposable. Senators. Now, senators. That's the upper house. What am I giving a history lesson here? Let's see here. What else do we got going on the show? We'll get started. We're doing the small talk segment. Barney says if you made it the midday rant, you would stop screwing it up. Fuck Barney. Look at Barney. Look at Barney coming through with like really good, constructive advice. Yeah, I don't know. All right, what do you say we get started here? Here's how the show plays out. It's 4 different segments. The first segment is called Antecedently on This Day. It's a look back at this day in history, just a way to get our feet wet and warmed up for what it is that we're going to talk about today. Quarter 2 is birthdays, self-explanatory. Did I just say self-explanatory? That doesn't make any sense. Self-explain. You get it. Quarter 3 is deads, people who died, people who were born once and then they died once. And we talk about their lives. And we decide in this segment 3, quarter 3, they go to heaven or did they go to hell? So-and-so died. What do you think? Heaven or hell? And then we talk about, well, didn't they like rape someone? What, that kind of, we get into all that stuff. That's why I like quarter 3. Although I got to be honest, I think quarter 3 kind of sucks today. Oh, way to pre-sell. Way to have them stick around, dummy. Well, I try to be honest and authentic. There are good topics. I just not wowed by the first 3 quarters today. Yeah, just not. But the birthdays I am. Birthdays are good. Birthdays are always fun. And then quarter 4, that's where we get into all the day's headlines, hot topics, trends, news, and I just start to rant. And by the end of it, I hope that you understand the world a little bit better, or at least through my perspective, because that's entirely what this is. So what do you say we get started? All right, it is the rant for the... Oh, man. All right. I wrote that wrong, and it looks like I wrote the wrong date on the headline for today's rant. It's listed as the rant for the 20th of September. So I've done that before. We're just not paying attention and I just do the wrong date. Ugh. No, it looks like this is good. September 23rd is the 267th day of the year. 99 more of these days remain until the end of the year. So get those New Year's Eve plans begunded. Begunded. That's a good word. I like that. Start saying begunded. I was recording over the weekend. I got a whole bunch of things that I don't want on here, and now I'm distracted. Good Lord. What are we doing first? There we go. Antecedently on this day. All right. Antecedently on this day. This is where we take a look back at all the things that have happened on this day in history. And again, this kind of sucks for today. On this day in the year 38, Drusilla, Caligula's sister, who died earlier that year, with whom the emperor Caligula is said to have had an incestuous relationship with, is deified. Yeah, there you go. Drusilla. That's kind of a hot name, I think. Well, you know why it is? I've known one Drusilla, and she was super hot, and it was just a good name. I've always thought it's a good name. You know what that is? Like if you hear one weird name and it happens to be given to a hot person, that name becomes synonymous in your mind with like attractive people. And then like the opposite works. Like if you a unique name and it's like an ugly person, you're like, yeah, that's an ugly person name. Yeah. It's something I've noticed. Drusilla, Caligula, brother and sister, incest. This is breaking news. I thought that was, kind of a default setting back then. Going to talk a little bit more about incest today than really I think we ever have. And that's because of a I want to talk about the Menendez boys. What have you seen? And it's trending. It's a story that's trending. Have you watched Monster on Netflix yet? It's the story of the Lyle and Eric Menendez. They murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty, so the state tried to prove or proved. There's a lot of it's Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy does like gay homo. I won't call it gay. Well, gay is easy to say. Like homoerotic slasher non-porn is like Ryan Murphy's wheelhouse. That's all of his stuff other than Glee. And I don't know. I never watched Glee. Is there any homoeroticism in Glee? Ryan Murphy is the top of the heap in, well, I don't even know if that's a heap. He's the guy who makes like horny slasher murder homoerotic TV shows that America just loves. Like one of the criticisms, remember he did Dahmer last year? They're like, they made Dahmer hot. And there was a lot of homoeroticism in Dahmer. And now this year with the Menendez brothers, we'll get to that. Stay tuned. Coming up in quarter four. Antecedently on this day in the year 1779, this during the American Revolution, John Paul Jones, naval commander of the United States, on board the USS Bonhomme Richard, wins the Battle of Flambeau. This is such a stupid... Told you, man, this is like the least event-filled day of the year. 1846 on this day. Here we go. Here's a significant discovery. 1846, astronomers Urbain Le Verrier and John Couch Adams, along with Johann Gottfried Galle, they collaborated, and what did they do? They discovered Neptune. Welcome to the party, Neptune. Neptune, discovered on this day. Okay, I was kind of like just tearing apart the term discovered, but I guess it fits. It works. It works. Because, it's not like Neptune was always there. It's just that they saw Neptune. They saw it, confirmed it, something like that. I don't know. Again, not a whole lot to get into today. Antecedently, on this day in 2004, over 3,000 people die in Haiti after Hurricane Jeanne produces massive flooding and mudslides. Yeah, remember that? Wasn't that the thing that some pop singer, wasn't the guy in the Fugees? Didn't he get embroiled in all kinds of Brett Favre-esque behaviors down there with money that was intended for... I might be wrong on this, so I'm going to move on. But there's something. I just don't want to look into it. All right, let's go. Quarter two, it's time to talk about birthdays. These are people who were born on this day. They say it's their birthday. I have no way of knowing for sure. Let's run through them. Born on this day in 1869, Mary Mallon. Mary Mallon, ladies and gentlemen. 1869, Mary Mallon was born. You know who Mary Mallon is? She's Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary. Mary Mallon was an Irish immigrant cook. This is one of the people who totally screwed us Irish for the next 50 years in this country. People hated the Irish, and part of it was because of Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary was, I don't know how this works. She was a carrier of, let's say, typhus. Is that a word? She was a carrier, and she was also a cook who worked for rich people. And again, this is the only reason that she became a big, famous name, because rich people were involved. Rich people died because they hired some dirty immigrant Irish cook lady to come and cook for their families, and she was a good cook, which meant she got passed around a lot because she kept getting raises, even though, she was still living in a mud pit, New York's Hell Kitchen or wherever. But yeah, she was in demand, and she cooked for all these families, and all these families died. Kind of a hero. I don't know. Ever seen the Gilded Age? Rich people back then. You think rich people today have an attitude? Nah, social media for the most part keeps them in check. Imagine being super rich in 1890. You know what those people were like? Those people sucked. I'll have you strung up, boy. And they could. They could. They could actually call the police. The police would come and string you up. You know why? No cell phones. No cameras. On this day, born 1920, Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney. What do we know Mickey? Does he have a? Does Mickey Rooney have a quintessential film? Because I always say, if you want to be known generations and generations and generations after you pass, you have to have one classic film that is, associated with you. Bogart is never going away because of Casablanca. Nah, it's not happening. Marlon Brando is never going away because of The Godfather. You got to have that. But then you have these dudes who are like undeniably big movie stars, but they don't have, like, what's the one Mickey Rooney movie? You did a bunch of movies with Judy Garland. Yeah, but not Wizard of Oz. And that's hers. Name of Judy Garland, Wizard of Oz. I don't know what he's ever done. Breakfast at Tiffany's. He's so good in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah, I said it. Mickey Rooney is great. He's hysterical in Breakfast at Tiffany's. I know it's a problem in 2024 that he's so funny, but he's funny. I'm a human being and he's funny. What's the problem with liking Mickey Rooney? Mickey Rooney's performance in Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is such a great movie. Well, he plays Holly Golightly. That's the Audrey Hepburn character, Holly Golightly. She's a whore. But we didn't say it back in the 60s. She's a prostitute, escort, whore, as the Real Housewives might say. She lives. Holly Golightly is her name, and she lives in this like walk up in New York, and she's got an upstairs neighbor, and it's a Japanese dude. And the Japanese dude is tired of putting up with her party girl shit going on just below. And it's endless. I mean, you can't even blame the dude. It's like, God, he's an old Japanese man. Problem is, he's Mickey Rooney. And Mickey Rooney portrays this Japanese character, this way over the top, angry neighbor. Oh, it's hysterical. He's got the big buck teeth. He's like, oh. God, fuck, what am I awful for thinking that's funny? You're dehumanizing the entire Asian race. No, I'm not. Mickey Rooney is, and I'm just there for the ride. So that's why you can't like Mickey Rooney. It's hard of these political calls, man. How do I get on these political lists? I'm so not political. All right. Born on this day, 1920, Mickey Rooney, no idea what movie, but we'll go with, Missy Golightly. It's funny. I don't know. Well, I got to show you a picture of him, right? I can't just say that. I got to show you what he looked like in that movie where he's so funny. All right, Mickey. Let's do Mickey Rooney. A breakfast. There you go. All right. I probably shouldn't even have to. I'm just going to, because I'm All right, here we go. Oh, Missy Golightly. Oh. Sorry, it's not racist. It's funny. Here he is, Mickey Rooney from and you know what? If it is racist, I guess I'm a racist. I mean, I guess. Look at him. Mickey Rooney playing an Asian guy. And he did that whole, look at him. He doesn't even look Asian. He looks like, I don't know what he looks like. Looks like Elvis Costello. Look at him. Oh, Mr. Golightly, you got big. He's screaming. He's in the tub. She's making noise downstairs. She's having some big Slayer party. Whole bunch of hot prostitutes, and he just ain't having it. Look at him. Oh, Mr. Golightly, you turn the music down. There he is yelling at her. All right. He's awesome. That's a funny movie, man. And, we're all supposed to feel like we're horrible assholes for enjoying that movie. Stop it. We're not all assholes. You know who's an asshole? The people who make all normal people feel like assholes because they like something years ago that was perfectly fine, that now the rules have changed. And so we're all going to be like convicted posthumously of, being an asshole at 8 years old. The first time I saw Breakfast at Tiffany's. And thinking that was so funny. Stop it. KB wants to know, who's the reporter in the background? I get that's probably a chat room question from a long time ago. Are we talking about the redhead? I don't know. She's just we'll move on. All right. Happy birthday, Mickey Rooney. He was great. Happy birthday, born on this day, 1930, Ray Charles. Do you know what I need to watch again? I need to watch that Ray Charles movie again. I need to watch the Jamie Foxx Ray Charles movie again, and I'll tell you why. Because I saw that movie when it first came out. I saw it high, and I don't remember it. I just remember like, oh, Jamie Foxx is a good actor, but when I'm trying to think of like what I know about Ray Charles, I'm like, I don't know. What do I know? Was he a drunk? Did the Ray Charles movie with Jamie Foxx come out around the same time as the Johnny Cash movie with Joaquin Phoenix? Were they kind of the same story? Like, I don't know what Johnny Cash did and what did Ray Charles do? And Johnny, were they both drug addicts? I think so. I don't know. Happy birthday, Ray Charles, born on this day in 2000 or 1930. 1930, Ray Charles. Born on this day in 1943, Julio Iglesias. Julio Iglesias. I forgot to open my code mix. People didn't tell me. Code mix, energy drink, so good. It's probably going to be illegal soon. With the dark hair, Kevin, are you talking about the anchor who's helming ABC live streaming, ABC News Live? I don't know. Dude, I just put it on in the background because I think it fits the theme of what we're doing. It's current events. And if anything like really bad happens, it'll happen behind me and I might catch it. And let's see. Al Gamboa says, I would like to see the Matt Walsh movie. Am I a racist? See? That's kind of the same thing. No, but you know. I mean, I got my takes on Matt Walsh, but, you know, don't know about his movie. It's a fine beard. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Oh, we're doing birthdays. That's right. I'm sorry, guys. Born on this day in 1943, Julio Iglesias. I don't know what to say about him. I don't know. Born on this day in 1949. This is why we're not talking about Julio Iglesias. We're not talking about him because we're going to dedicate our time to Bruce Springsteen, born on this day in 1949, my all-time favorite recording artist. The man is a poet. I have seen Bruce Springsteen more than I have seen any other artist in the history of music's doing stuff that I could possibly see. Music's doing stuffs. Okay, that's good. That's my new podcast, Music's Doing Stuffs. That's actually a good name for a podcast. Let's see here. You know what is crazy about Bruce Springsteen is that I'm looking at Kevin Barber. That's KB Artist. He took me to my very first Bruce Springsteen. Well, I don't know. Did he take me? Yeah, so I'm going to say we didn't buy those tickets. Those tickets came from his mom. So yeah, he took me to my first Bruce Springsteen concert. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even really get into Bruce Springsteen like the way I'm really into him now until probably 10 years later. But that lit the fuse. Man. I still love that album. Oh, God, I love that album. There are so many minor hits off that album that never get played on the radio anymore. But they were played enough back in like 1984, 85, 86, 87, 88 that you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that song. I haven't heard this. Good ones, too, man. Like I'm Going Down. I'm Going Down by Bruce Springsteen is one of the catchiest fucking pop songs ever written. And I've had a carload of my kid and his kid's friends. Okay, they're in the car. Now, my kid likes Springsteen because I've kind of beaten it into his skull. He had no choice, kind of like the White Sox and Bears. I just beat it into his skull. And now he's walking around all confused. He's like, why did my dad abuse me in this way? But he doesn't feel that way about Springsteen. He digs Springsteen. He likes poetry and shit. So he's like, man, he can really draw a picture with his words. Yeah, he can. Paint a picture. But driving a bunch of kids, his friends in the back seat and all that. And I control the music at all times. And they're like jerking around. And anyway, they got into the car, and the song that was playing that I had on my Spotify list was just random Spotify list, but it came on I'm Going Down, the Springsteen song. And I had these like 14-year-old, a cross section of kids. I'm not. It's not like 14-year-old suburban white kids. I mean, they were suburban kids, but one of his friends is Asian, one of his friends is black, so it was a mix of kids. I had a DEI thing going on in my back seat. It was cool. So we're driving around. They get in, and the song they was on was the song that I always pick up my son with, which is Simply Irresistible. But it's a little bit that I do with my son. He knows, he expects it. And I will, if I have to pick him up somewhere, like at school or something, or after an after school event where, can you give these kids a ride? Yeah, sure I can. Okay, whatever. I always find where he is first, sit in the parking lot somewhere away. And then when I pull up, the windows are down and Simply Irresistible is cranking. Just cranking, man. And I rev the engine, and it's a Malibu. I'm like, and at first it used to like horrify him, but now he's like, yeah, okay, he's going to do this again. And then we get in the car. So anyway, we get in the car, and for some reason, because Simply Irresistible is obviously on some Spotify 80s thing, it just went to the next song was I'm Going Down. And my kid goes, oh, this song is great. And I'm telling you, by the third time the song had gotten through the chorus, all of these boys were in the backseat of the car going, I'm going down, down, down. I'm like, that is a catchy song. Happy birthday, Bruce Springsteen. You're not just an artist. You know how to write a pop jingle that gets stuck in people's heads. Bruce Springsteen, born on this day, 1949. Born on this day in 1959, 10 years later, Jason Alexander. Can't stand ya. Jason Alexander, George Costanza from Seinfeld. God, George was funny. George was funny. And George was one of the funniest characters one of the most ingenious characters that I'd ever seen on television until I saw Curb Your Enthusiasm, where the guy who was the real George, the character that Jason Alexander was pretending to be, George Costanza is supposed to be Larry David. Jason Alexander portrayed George Costanza in Seinfeld doing an imitation of the Seinfeld executive producer, Larry David. I mean, everybody knew that. And then Larry David got his own show where it was just all George, but it wasn't Jason Alexander's George. It was Larry David's George, because Larry David's George is actually just Larry David. And it was awesome. And I've said this a couple of times now. Curb Your Enthusiasm has surpassed Seinfeld. Curb Your Enthusiasm is better than Seinfeld. Neither of them are better than Arrested Development, though, which remains the greatest 30-minute situation comedy sitcom in television history, or the funniest, at least. But Curb is second. All right, happy birthday, Jason Alexander, born on this day in 1959. Born on this day in 1971, Sean Spicer. He was huge. He was everywhere, and then he was gone. As soon as Saturday Night Live stopped making fun of him, he was gone. Sean Spicer, born on this day, 1971. Born on this day, 1978, Anthony Mackie. He's an actor. He's a Marvel actor. All right, good for him. Born on this day in 1985, Hassan Minhaj. Hassan Minhaj. Comedian, he's good. He's good, he's funny. He was on The Daily Show. He was a really good correspondent on The Daily Show. Hassan Minhaj. All right, that's going to do it, folks. Those are your birthdays. Let's move on to quarter three. Quarter three is, of course, the deads. Where are the deads? There we go. Dead people. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? Eric Stewart says, if someone doesn't think Curb Your Enthusiasm is funny, I question their sense of humor. I do too, because it is so authentically funny. Like, it's not trying, there are no, and then I said, it's not that. It's about the abstract humor of reality. And then they improv on it. So they make it bigger than it would be in real life when they're in the moments. And that's why Curb is so brilliant, because those things, all the situations in Curb, all essentially came from very minor, tangentially related things that happened in Larry David's life, or in Larry Charles's life, or in any of the other writers and creators of the show. They bring all these things. I was at a strip club, and I saw my priest, that kind of thing. And so that becomes a Curb sketch or a Curb situation. Curb is brilliant. Curb is really brilliant. Again, it ain't Arrested Development. It ain't the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development, which are just so good. Okay, let's do the deads, right? Let's get through the deads. We don't have a lot of deads here. This is not a very great dead on this day in 1939. Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud. He was an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist. He's the founding father of what we would call modern psychiatry. Freudian is the basis from which everybody else expands their psychiatric study. He's absolutely going to hell. He is going to hell for tapping into some things in the human psyche that, maybe should have just been left there. We should still have questions. We should just not question why step family porn is like the most searched porn in the world. But Freud will explain that to you if you want. I don't want. I would just rather not exist in a universe. My personal universe doesn't have to have that one piece of knowledge or 2, an expectation of understanding why that would be. So we're just going to move on. Sigmund Freud, going to hell. Dead on this day in 1939. Dead on this day in 1987, Bob Fosse. Jazz hands. Bob Fosse. He was a choreographer. Famous. See, here's the thing. Not Nebraska famous. Like, if you live in Nebraska, you don't know Bob Fosse is. Bob Fosse is famous East Coast jazz hands. Bob Fosse is like a choreographer on Broadway, and everybody knew him. And I think they made a movie about him back in the 70s, All That Jazz. It starred Roy Scheider. And I think maybe Roy Scheider may have won an Oscar for portraying him. Here's what we know about Bob Fosse. He was a guy who was famous, again, as a Broadway guy. So that's not really Nebraska famous, but it's famous. Okay, so he created dances for like plays. I don't know. Here's what I do know. He was mean. And he was an addict, and he was demanding, and he was out of control, and he was crazy, and he's absolutely in hell. Sigmund Freud and Bob Fosse, both of them in hell. Bob Fosse, dead on this day in 1987. All right, that's going to do it, folks. Look at that. First 3 quarters, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This show does exist on your gratuities. Tip the show if you can. You got a Venmo. We've got a Cash App. We're going to leave that there as well. If you feel so inclined as to support this kind of talk radio, a kind of talk radio that isn't allowed to exist on terrestrial radio because we're not politically partisan and we don't only talk about football. And those are pretty much the 2 things that get people hired in radio these days. And although I feel that I could do both of them at an elite level, I do not cotton to the idea of being hemmed in such a way that my creativity would be unavailable. So we do this stream of consciousness every day. If you support that and you want to tune in, and I hope you do, hang out in the chat room. Drop a little something there. All right, what do you say we get into the stuff that people are discussing today? You're a moron. Yes, I am. Moran, to be exact. Oh, Code Mix. God, it's so tasty, but it's also like, it is kind of like a kick in the head because it's so tasty. There's so much flavor. Probably find out there's fentanyl in there sometime. There's no way that can be legal. It's all right. Israel. Let's talk about Israel. Let's talk about Hamas. What do we got? We got anything like that going on behind us? No, they're talking about a tropical storm. I don't do weather unless it's like really cool weather or cool or cruel weather. We talk about Israel. So hundreds and hundreds of people are dead. The fighting started in earnest over the weekend with missiles being first lobbed from Lebanon. Hamas. They're so fucking pathetic. This Hamas. So Hamas had all of their pagers and walkie-talkies blow up last week in a double attack by Israeli forces, although that's intelligence. That's like, that ain't a bunch of dudes in combat gear. That's what they did to Hamas last week by having their new pagers all blow up when they tried to use them, and then 2 days later at the funerals for the people who blew up with the pagers, having the walkie-talkies explode. I mean, that's just, my God. I heard an argument over the weekend on one of these shows, one of these news shows I flip through and I watch them. Heard an argument over the weekend from a guy who, I don't know, he looked smart. He said, the way Israel blew up the Hamas members' pagers and walkie-talkies, that was terrorism, he said. He said, that's terrorism. That's not war. That's terrorism. And I stopped cold in that. I was like, huh, okay. Let me think about that. And after about 30 seconds, I was like, fuck them. They're terrorists. They are the terrorists. Yes, I bet it was. I bet for the terrorists, it was terrifying. And I do not think that's a problem. So shut up, you egghead-looking pussy. Seriously, terrorism is cool. It was cool, man. That's a cool. We would be so proud if we did that. If the Americans did that, we'd be like, yeah. Although we probably have done shit like that, but it was all, black ops and shit, and we probably wouldn't talk about it. Anyway, point is, this weekend's Hamas attack and launch of what they called 200 super missiles. You guys are so sad. 200 super missiles. They're just like missiles or little, Anyway, they hundreds of them, and they did some damage in Israel. Israel came back last night. Big, huge attacks, man. Israel is just crushing. Hundreds and hundreds are dead. More attacks on the way. Hamas says they're not giving up. I'll give you the details here. Israel is on brink of full-scale invasion of South Lebanon as it warns, back down now or else. Okay, so a couple things. One, Israel is always, my entire life, they seemingly been on the brink of full-scale invasion. So, okay, nice. I get it. It's the headline. And they're getting ready for an invasion, which would sort of up it a little bit. The invasion of Gaza, that having gone so well for them. So, they're gonna do that up there in Lebanon now against Hamas. Or no, against Hezbollah. Hamas and Hezbollah. You gotta keep them straight. Doesn't matter. He's going after all of them. Let's see. What's the latest update here? Israel's explosive pager attacks targeting members of Hezbollah could be the first part of a pre-planned invasion of Lebanon. 2 days of attacks targeting thousands of people. Israel, I don't need to go into this, right? We don't need this stuff. There you go. All hell is breaking loose. And if something really bad happens, then it'll show up back there and we'll stop the show and we'll give it the appropriate attention until we determine that we don't need it. Government shutdown time, folks. Kicking the can down the road. That's what we've been doing for years, right? Because nobody wants to go out on... Problem with our Congress is that nobody wants to get anything... I don't know if they say nobody. Because right now, the Democrats are in power. Okay, there was a Democratic president. So what that means is that nothing will happen in Congress because the Republicans, no matter how good the situation is, this is a good idea, or the idea or whatever, they will not give any wins to the Democrats. And if they were to pass something that was, So I didn't know what to expect with the government shutdown thing. I figured the government was going to shut down, and that would be just some big, show of, look at how bad the Bidens are. You want 4 more years of this? I was wrong. I was wrong as I am about a lot of these things, because apparently the government is not going to be shutting down. They've come to a deal. Congressional leaders announced an agreement Sunday on a short-term spending bill that will fund federal agencies for about 3 months. Averting a possible partial government shutdown when the new budget year begins October the 1st, and pushing final decisions until after the November election. Mike Johnson All these people, he's so radical and out of control. I'm like, this is not the action of somebody who's radical and out of control. This is the action of a steward of the House. Somebody who's like, I'm not just going to act arbitrarily in favor of the party that I am the Speaker of the House. This is important for the government and the country as a whole, and I'm going to do it. Shows leadership on his part. It does, like it or not. In a letter to Republican colleagues, Speaker Johnson said the budget measure would be very narrow, bare bones, and include only the extensions that are absolutely necessary. He also says, while this is not the solution any of us prefer, it is the most prudent path forward under the prescient situations. Johnson wrote, as history has taught us and current polling affirms, shutting the government down less than 40 days. Okay, wait, I didn't read this. Hold on. This is extra. All right, he goes on to say, Johnson wrote, as history has taught and current polling affirms, shutting the government down less than 40 days from a fateful election would be an act of political malpractice. Especially, doing it because there is a deal to be made. A temporary, I like this. Look, I don't like any of these guys, and I didn't think I would like Mike Johnson at all, and I'm not advocating that he stick around, because, I think that's going to change. But this is for the country. See, this isn't to benefit Donald Trump. Shutting down the government a couple of days before the election would certainly benefit the challenging party. The challenging party would have the whole, look, they can't even manage. So Mike Johnson not doing that, and Mike Johnson going, no, we cannot make the budget of the United States government a political football, even though they do kind of make it that when they kick it down. But this was a really important one because of October the 1st, because of the election day coming in November. It's, I don't know. This is a patriotic move, keeping the government open and not allowing, because it doesn't need to close. See, the reason this would, in a couple days, probably, this would have become one of those stories. CNN would have had the countdown to government shutdown, but he headed it off at the pass. He didn't make it a election issue. He kept how the sausage is made inside the kitchen. You can go out there and show the people who are eating it, going, hey, look at this gross stuff I stuck in there. No, just kept the government open. That's good. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said that Democrats would evaluate the bill in its entirety before this week's vote, but with the agreement, Congress is now on a bipartisan path to avoid a government shutdown that would hurt everyday Americans. Bravo! Fucking crazy-ass Hakeem Jeffries, fucking crazy-ass Mike Johnson. They're like going, all right, we're keeping the fucking country rolling. Good. Train kept a rolling all night long. That's progress, man. That is progress. It also kind of tells me that maybe Mike Johnson doesn't think Trump is going to win. It does, because, just reading between the lines. Speaking of, what if Trump loses? This is a big story over the weekend. Trump was asked directly, what if you lose here, dude? What if you lose? You promised all this winning and all that stuff back in 2016. We were going to be so sick of winning. And you beat Hillary, but, you didn't even win the popular vote. I mean, you're not as popular as she. She got more popular votes. But you won the Electoral College, and then, they had 4 years of you, and then you ran against an old man who could barely string a sentence together, and he mollywopped you. And now you're running against, a black lady who you say isn't black, and she's a blowjob queen, and apparently listening to your side of the argument, she has absolutely no credibility and no experience to be this, even though she's been the vice president for 4 years, but whatever. What if you lose again, man? What if you lose again? And Trump said that I will not run again. He's like, I will not. He said, this is it. He said, this is it. If he loses this time, this is it. He said the exact same thing in 2020, ladies and gentlemen. The exact same quote, word for word, he said in 2020 in an interview with Sean Hannity. If I lose here in 2020, America's going to be over, and I'm never going to run again. I'm out of politics. This is it. You got to vote for me now. He loves it. if he's not in a walker or dragging an oxygen tank around in 4 years, and that's a possibility because he is an old man, he's gonna run again. Of course he will. He loves it. He loves it. And he loves his people, and his people love him. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Let him go ahead. Just keep running and keep doing your rallies and keep, people like it, charge admission, whatever. He's selling gold. He's thinking long term now. He's like, what if? Anyway, there you go. And why might that be the case? This is a new story that's out today. USA Today put it out. It's about young voters. I'm sorry, this wasn't out yesterday. This was out yesterday. This was a big Sunday release. Voter registration, okay? Voter registration is spiking at unheard of levels, particularly among young adults. All right, so what they're seeing here is totally unexpected. They're seeing this massive wave of young people who are now suddenly registering to vote. First-time voters, people, this would be their second time, who weren't registered to vote last time or whatever. It says voter registration is breaking records in this country as Election Day approaches, particularly among young people, many of whom are first-time voters. On Tuesday's National Voter Registration Day, more than 150,000 people registered through vote.org. The most the organization has ever seen on a single day. The organization registered last week. 300,000 people visited a link posted on Instagram. Oh, by Taylor Swift. This is Taylor. Taylor Swift is responsible for 333,000 people, new voters registering. Jesus. It says, although Swift noted that she would be voting for Democratic candidate Kamala Harris, people don't have to declare a party affiliation when they register, and neither vote.org nor Swift tracked registrations by party. Vote.org has previously told USA Today that about 80% of people they register turn out in the next election. Why is this important? Okay, so it's important because these are new voters. It is important for a couple of reasons. I heard this broken down this morning on CNN. Boomers turned out and continue to turn out heavily for Trump. Boomers are heavy for Trump. Since 2020, that's 4 years. Do you know how many boomers have died? A lot of boomers have died. There's missing boomers. And yeah, I suppose, some the boomers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller with each passing year. Next up, Gen X. Yeah, that's us. We're the ones that are going to get smaller and smaller but that's not for a couple more years yet. The expanding is the Gen Z. Gen Z is coming in to vote, and that's why it's important, because the idea is that there's going to be a lot more. Kids tend to be more liberal. I'm just telling you what the people are looking at, okay? I don't know. I'm just telling you. It's not good for Trump. It is not good for Trump that a whole bunch of new young people are turning out. I mean, I know that the Nick, what's his name? Nick Lopez. What's his name? I know that guy's popular, but not that popular with young people. You know who's popular with young people? Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Now they're popular with young people. Nick Fuentes. All right, let's keep going. Let's see here. Young voters. We got some good breaking news on Trump's would-be assassin. That's that Ruth guy who tried to kill him. He's like the world's worst assassins. Or I was going to say Trump has like the world's. Luckily, thankfully, thank God. But Trump, that's a fact. Trump has like the worst assassins. I mean, even Ford. Ford had pretty bad assassins too. And Squeaky and the other chick, Leslie Van Houten. I think that's her. They all survived. Trump's got one down. Trump killed one. But there was also an innocent died as well. So fuck. It's not the same thing. The second one, though, this guy that we're talking about here, this guy is kind of a clown show, if you ask me. Nobody was hurt, thankfully. Nobody was, he didn't shoot anything. Secret Service guys shot at him. I guess they were running up a fairway and they're suits. Why do Secret Service guys have to wear suits even when they're doing things like golf course protection? Shouldn't they blend in? Or is it just about, hiding? I don't know what that is. Anyway, it's funny when you see them running on golf courses. I've seen Secret Service run on golf courses. That picture exists. It's out there. So that's what I'm imagining. So they ran and they were shooting at him while he was running. But he didn't shoot. Here's what we're learning now. The man accused of the apparent assassination attempt of Donald Trump, and they're calling it an apparent assassination attempt because I don't know. However, the new evidence kind of makes it clear that it was an assassination attempt. The man accused in the apparent assassination attempt of Donald Trump at a golf course in Florida left behind a note saying that he intended to kill the former president and maintained in his car a handwritten list of dates and venues where Trump was to appear. The Justice Department said on Monday. The note addressed Dear World. Okay, he's going to get his Unabomber manifesto here. The note addressed Dear World was placed in a box that was dropped at the home of an unidentified person who contacted law enforcement officials after last Sunday's arrest. Okay. So the shooter got a box. Doesn't really say how big the box is. I mean, I'm picturing, a box big enough for a head, The note was addressed, Dear World, and the note was placed inside the box that was dropped at a home of an unidentified person. So somebody who the shooter knew received a visit earlier that day where the shooter was like, here, you watch this box. What? What's in the box? What's going on? What? Here, watch this. Hey, I know you haven't seen me in a long time, and I'm just showing up on your front door. But here, watch this. Hold this box for me, and then he just leaves. And I'd be like, what the fuck? What? And then do you look in the box? The note addressed Dear World was placed in a box that was dropped off at the home of an unidentified person who then contacted law enforcement officials after last Sunday's arrest. So this guy, here he is, he's sitting in his living room. He's probably in a lazy boy. He's watching, let's say, football. He's watching football and he's eating. And like right in the background is the box. Like you can just see the box. It's in the kitchen. You can see all the way into the kitchen over his shoulder. And you can see the kitchen table and the box is on the kitchen table. And he's watching football and they break in and they're like, an attempt on the life of President, whatever. And then he like slowly looks at the box. That's funny. The note addressed Dear World was placed in a box that was dropped at the home of an unidentified person who contacted law enforcement officials after last Sunday's arrest. I need to call the police. It appears to have been based on the premise that the assassination attempt would be ultimately unsuccessful. For all you young hopeful assassins out there, this is why he failed. You cannot believe that you're going to fail. An assassin must go into the assassin not believing that they'll come out unscathed. I mean, I think that's course 2. If you want to sign up after this course on how to be an assassin, you can then sign up for course 2, which is about dealing with the awful reality that you're probably going to die or get caught. But course 1 is about confidence. If you're going to be an assassin, you got to be confident in that this guy had a box. He didn't think it was going to work. That is not a recipe for a successful assassination. Let's see. It appears to have been based on the premise that the assassination attempt would be ultimately unsuccessful. The box, God, don't you want to know? Okay, good. Here's what's in the box. Here we go. Hey, guys, come on. We'll find out what's in the box. The box, which also contained ammunition, random, a metal pipe, even more random, and other items. Oh, don't do that! Don't other items me? I gotta know what else is in the box. So box, it's got ammunition. It's got what the fuck? What? A pipe? It's got a pipe. Ammunition, a metal pipe, and other items. It wasn't opened by the person until after Ruth was taken into custody. Or so he says. He fucking opened it. He opened it. The minute Ruth left, he's like, what the fuck is in this box? And he just opened it. And he opened it. He's like, that's weird. This fucking guy is so weird. And then he went back into his living room and watched football and left the box on the table until he learned that, his buddy was involved in an assassination. And then he called the police and went, I haven't looked in the box yet. I don't know. I don't have anything to do with this, officers. I haven't looked in the box yet. You look in the box. That's what he did. But he looked in the box. Anybody who would be friends with a dude who would do something like this looked in the box, okay? People who wouldn't look in the box don't have friends who just bring boxes to them. They don't. They have a better class of friend. A non-box springing friend group is probably what they have. The box, which also contained ammunition, metal pipe, and other items, was not opened by the person until after Ruth was taken into custody. The person who received the box and contacted law enforcement was not identified in the Justice Department's detention memo. You're going to keep me out of this, right? I didn't look in the box, just so you know. I didn't even know the guy. He does the whole Trump thing. I didn't even know the guy. He just came by and gave you the box. I got to know all about this guy. I want to know who the guy. I want to know what made him so special that he received the box from the world's worst presidential assassin. The box, which also contained ammunition and metal, we got there. It says here, this was an assassination attempt of Donald Trump, but I failed you. Oh, this is him writing the letter. This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. Again, little leaguers out there. If you are writing a note to explain your failure, you are not up for this task. That is not how winners think. Typical liberal. This is not how winners think. This is this is a loser's mentality, and I'm sorry. Let's see. This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. Gumption and muster are also, red flags. Gumption and muster. It is up to you now to finish the job, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job, the note said, according to the prosecutor. A lot to break down here. What is he talking about? This was all right, so here's the note. There was a note inside the box that also has a bunch of weird stuff. There's a note inside the box. You open up the note, and here's what the assassin said. He said, this was an assassination attempt of Donald Trump, but I failed. So he wrote the note from the perspective of somebody who failed at trying to kill the president. But then later in the note, he says, hey, man, I failed, but if you guys want to, keep going, anyone who gets him gets $150,000 from me. Does he think he's going to survive the failed assassination attempt? And does he then think that even if he does survive, does he think he's going to get away and operate a normal business relationship with his banks and shit where he can just fund a reward for some? And is a reward for an illegal act being perpetrated, is that enforceable in court? I don't think it is. This guy's crazy. He's crazy. I failed at trying to kill the president, but if any of you guys want to try, I'll give you $150,000. What? You think you're going to be available to have? There you go. That's the latest. Found out about that crazy guy. His last name is Ruth. I don't even need to know the rest of his name. Just Ruth. That's fine. We're good with that. This is trending on Twitter. Hold on. There's also a story. There was some knowledge that this was going to be released today, or maybe it was released yesterday when this came out, but Sam Elliott is trending on the Twitter box. Sam Elliott is trending on the Twitter box because he's endorsed Kamala Harris. Oh boy. Look, this is like, what is Sam Elliott? Sam Elliott is like, the Jenna Jameson of dad porn. There you go. That'll work. Sam Elliott, dad porn. Shows and movies that dads like. I mean, we all like some of this stuff because it's quality, but dads are really into it. Sam Elliott, he is like the biggest dad porn star of all time. So this is kind of a thing, and this is what's being discussed on the Twitter box and also over on the TikTok. Sam Elliott has endorsed Kamala Harris, but not only endorsed Kamala Harris, he's voicing a new ad for her. But he endorsed Biden and did the voiceover on a Biden ad last year. So, this shouldn't be out of character. And I'll say this also about conservatives. And I think a lot of conservatives like Sam Elliott. You know why? Because Sam Elliott seems like a really likable guy. And all the characters that he portrays. I don't know that Sam Elliott's a great actor, but he is an attitude stylist like none other. Like he kind of always plays the same dude, right? You hire the mustache, right? I mean, it's kind of always the same, no bullshit, salt of the earth. He's a good guy, but he'll fucking throw a fist if he's got to. He's like that, like the all-purpose, cool-ass, dependable dude. That's sort of been his characterizations over the years. And sometimes he plays that guy in a different era. So he'll wear a different suit or a different outfit, and you'll be like, he can really act. And I'm like, I don't think he can really act. I think he's just Sam Elliott. And guess what? Sam Elliott is fucking cool. And that's why so many people like him. I think it's unnecessary for him to come out and do, political ads or do the voiceovers, offer his iconic American cadence and sound, which is what he is. He's a voice guy. The mustache and then, the voice. That's him. But he did. There's a new Kamala. We're going to watch it. We're going to watch the new Sam Elliott, and we're going to talk about what's being discussed in a couple of different places today concerning Sam Elliott. And that is here we go. What effect does he have? Oh, boy. Seems to be missing. The link that I used is now missing for the thing that I wanted to show you. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We will move on. We don't need to see the new ad. You can find it. It's all over. He's trending. So you'll find it. Barney, who is a good, strong-minded, proud American Texas conservative fella. Elliott is a Hollywood liberal playing conservative characters, same as Offerman. Yeah. Well, I reject the whole Hollywood liberal thing because... I mean, Nick Offerman doesn't live in Hollywood. Nick Offerman lives in the Midwest somewhere with Megan Mullally. They do I think they live in Chicago. Well, Nick Offerman's from Chicago, but I think they live there because they do a lot of like Chicago stage work and Second City stuff and improv. They're big into that shit. So he's not really Hollywood, but I get it. It's a catch-all. Here's what I say about... nope, don't want to say that. Don't want to say that. I have a very provocative take on why liberals see the world the way they do and why conservatives see the world that they do. And it's a belief that I have held for 20, 30 years. But I'm not going to share it with you because it's a provocative take. It's people are like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah, I do. And I don't see, these are the sorts of things that I don't think that we need to share. So I can have my little thoughts in my head about the world, and we can still be buddies, and we can still go out and drink and have fun, and I can still love your kids and your family, and you can be neighbors, and we can do all of that stuff. And none of this shit has to affect us at all. Unless we're so boring and so poorly defined as individuals that we decide to join a political party and make that our singular defining characteristic. Politics. And again, so many people love the politics of it all because politics, I'm a big boy, I'm a grown-up now, I'm doing grown-up stuff. I don't talk about stupid kid stuff anymore. I like politics. I like to talk about the Constitution and the defense budget. Now, shut up. No, you don't. You watch smart people who dedicate their lives to such things, and then you listen to what they say, and then you parrot that back, and then you're like, I'm smart. No, you're not. You just stop it. I hate politics. I hate people who define themselves solely by their politics. Byron says manly men aren't liberal. Frank says, who talks politics in public? Everybody nowadays, Frank. Anybody in public, anybody at the fucking Kroger in a MAGA hat is talking politics. Hi, Frank. Good to have you in the chat room today. Frank's been very active today. Barney says the Offerman Wood Shop is in East LA. Yeah, well, he probably lives above it. I get what you're saying, but these are rich people. I know that they reside much of the year in the Chicago area. That's where Nick is from. They both started somehow in Chicago, Second City, and all that stuff. So, but I get you, man. They probably got a bunch of different places. I get you. Frank says, I don't talk politics in public. Bears played in Indiana. The fuck kind of random 2 sentences is that? Frank, what is going on? What does one thing have to do? How random is it? Frank, Bears played in Indiana. What? I love you, Frankie. What are you talking about? Who else we got in the chat room today? Anybody? Oh, I got to make the chat room bigger. Let me make it bigger. And then we'll get back into this. I just hated that a couple of those stories, they felt a little too politically, didn't they? They really did. All right, so let's talk now. This is a fun one. This is a story that, I am calling The Secrets of the Suspiciously Sunken Super Yacht. Ooh. Wouldn't you like to know more about the secrets of the suspiciously sunken super yacht? So what am I talking about? Remember a couple of weeks back when that rich douchebag got his big fancy floating dick extender blowed up real good, and people were like, it was a storm, and then other people were like, nah, it got blowed up. I don't even know. I haven't really done follow-up on that. Have you? No, of course not, because we moved on. That was an interesting story for a couple of days, and then we went, fuck them, and we moved on. Well, it ain't over. This is kind of crazy, but he was an important guy. Mike Lynch, I think was his name. He was like, he's the British Bill Gates. He was a tech and tech security and all this kind of stuff. He was on the wrong side of the law. He was, being brought up on charges in San Francisco, but he was still a billionaire, and he's hanging out with princes, and he's hanging out with politicians. Very, very crazy, complicated story with this guy. And then he beats the law in San Francisco. Hey, and he throws this big yacht party on his super yacht with his defense team or whatever, and all of his friends and all of these supporters. They all came out and they were partying on the yacht. Some of them were even staying over. And it was in the middle of the night when they were all sleeping when a surprise supercell storm came out of nowhere and destroyed the super yacht Epstein style. It was just a storm. So, of course, a lot of people like that wasn't a storm. That was retaliation. Those were people coming after him. So here's the problem now. So the boat, it sinks, right? They get all the bodies out, but the boat's down there at the bottom, and the boat has a safe. And inside the safe, here, let me just read this to you. The sunken vessel lying on the seabed at a depth of some 50 meters is thought to have watertight safes containing 2 super encrypted hard drives that hold highly classified information, including passcodes and other sensitive data. An official involved in the salvage plans so this official does not wish to be named. Okay, who asked not to be named told CNN. Specialist divers with remote cameras have searched the boat extensively. So again, all right, so the boat has hard drives inside a safe on this boat. Okay. It says the hard drives hold highly classified information, including passcodes and other sensitive data, and officials involved in the sub. Okay, fell into that fucking trap again. I don't have to say the last ones because it's just about how the person doesn't want their name to be revealed. Anyway, isn't this a plot to a great Matt Damon movie? Like a bunch of heist guys try to steal the secret encrypted stuff in the safe that is in the sunken boat. Well, that's what they think is going on. they think that there are like these criminal organizations who are like, let's get the safe out of the bottom of the boat. Did they get the safe? So initially, law enforcement feared that the thieves might try to reach the wreckage to find the jewelry and other objects of value, blah, 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 on the yacht. According to divers, the police from the beginning were worried that thieves were just going to come out there and steal it for like fancy upholstery, right? But now they're like, wait a second, there's stuff that's in there that is more than just fancy yacht stuff. But why did they have to make that public? Maybe you just shut your mouth about that? I don't know. Let's see. Police are concerned that the wreckage, expected to be raised in the coming weeks as part of the criminal investigation into the tragedy, will also be of interest to foreign governments, including Russia and China. Local police have requested that the yacht be guarded closely, both above water and with underwater surveillance, with government assistance, blah, blah. Okay, so they're worried about China and shit coming. I don't know. Anyway, sounds like there's important stuff on that yacht, and we don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. That sounds like a George Clooney, Matt Damon movie to me. And it could be called The Secrets of the Suspiciously Sunken Super Yacht Safe. Janet Jackson said some shit. She said that she doesn't think Kamala Harris is black. Yeah, just like Trump. She said that. She said, I don't think she's black. I heard. So it was an interview that she did. And she said, I don't even know that Kamala Harris is black. I heard that she wasn't. And then the interviewer says, no, her father is from Jamaica and her mother is an Indian. And she said, Janet Jackson, that's not what I heard. I heard that her father is a white man from the Midwest. And the interviewer said to Janet Jackson, well, that's just not true. And Janet Jackson said, well, that's what I heard and that's what I believe. Miss Jackson, if you're stupid. Okay. But, people are being mean to Janet Jackson. And I'm like, oh, did you people think Janet Jackson was normal? Did you people think that Janet Jackson was like the, reserved, lucid, sober one of the all of those people are weird. So anyway, then she apologized, okay? So Janet Jackson apologized because apparently people were like, you can't say that. You were so dumb or whatever. That's a stupid thing. That's a totally debunked thing, but you're still spreading it. God, you're stupid. So she apologized. She said, here, what did she say in her apology? Hold on. I want to get to the apology. Okay, so here's the apology that she put out. Janet Jackson would like to clarify her recent comments. She recognizes that her statements regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity were based on misinformation. Janet respects Harris's dual heritage as both black and Indian and apologizes for any confusion caused. She values the diversity Harris represents and understands the importance of celebrating that in today's society. Janet remains committed to promoting unity and understanding. All right, so first things first, nobody in their right mind thinks Janet wrote that, right? That's not even being written from Janet's point of view. It's obviously being written. Janet Jackson would like to, unless she speaks and writes of herself in the third person, which would be not completely unexpected for a Jackson. I mean, they are crazy, but still, that's obviously not her. But she apologized, so that story started going around on Saturday. But guess what? That's not a real apology. That Janet Jackson and Janet Jackson's team are like, why did Variety print that? That's not from us. We didn't say, no. Who is this person now speaking for Janet Jackson? The unauthorized apology, first reported by BuzzFeed and repeated by multiple major outlets, was made by a man named Mo El-Masri, who, apparently, inaccurately, claimed to be Janet Jackson's manager. So this is BuzzFeed. And I think I may have said Variety or whatever, but this is BuzzFeed. So this is BuzzFeed's level of intellectual and journalistic integrity. Ring, ring. The phone at BuzzFeed's offices. Ring, ring. Hello, this is BuzzFeed. Yeah. I'm Mo. I'm Janet Jackson's manager. Oh, that's great. Janet Jackson says that she didn't mean to call Kamala. She didn't mean to call her not black. And and then he reads it, and then the woman, thank you. That'll be in our, we'll update that right now. Like, you can probably hear her typing while he's telling. That's so they just let some guy who claimed to be Janet Jackson's manager. Nobody looked into it. Nobody was like, who is Janet? By the way, should we Google search who Janet Jackson's manager is? Or should we just put this statement out and attach it to Janet Jackson because the guy called and said he was her manager? That is legitimately what happened here. What the fuck? My God, even BuzzFeed? Really? Checks and balances. BuzzFeed is not real journalism. Never has been, never will be. All right, let's see here. So Janet Jackson. By the way, so just to be clear, Janet Jackson said what she said, and she has stood by it. Somebody apologized for her over the weekend, but she is now coming out today going, that wasn't me. So there you go. Janet Jackson feels the way she feels. Let's talk about Netflix. Any of you guys watch that? Anybody watch The Monster on Netflix? Monster. It's the Lyle and Eric Here, let me get this story up. See, Lyle and Eric Menendez. Seriously, their name is like starting a mini bike. Ryan Murphy, one of America's foremost television creators of the past 20 years. He's terrific. Started out Nip Tuck, then did Glee, then the American Horror Story franchise, and then he moved on to like and he did the OJ. The OJ thing where David Schwimmer played Robert Kardashian and Cuba Gooding Jr. That was great. Did a whole bunch of it. He's currently doing the Aaron Hernandez story there. Aaron Hernandez on FX. That's him as well. But also just released on Netflix over the weekend, Monster, season 2 of Monster, his new anthology series. Season 1 was Dahmer. Season 1 was Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer. That thing won every award television had to give out. I didn't even watch it. I was like, nope. I'm watching this one though about the Menendezes. Two brothers. I don't know if you remember them. Around about 1990, they killed their parents. They're Hollywood rich kids, Hollywood rich party boys, silver spoons, all that kind of stuff. Killed their parents, pretty cold-blooded, and then claimed that they were molested and all this stuff. And okay. And nobody believed them, and they got put in jail for EVs. So Lyle and Eric Menendez have been in prison since mid-90s, early 90s, something like that. And they've been pretty much forgotten about, but they do represent, in my mind, a period of time. I'm like, I remember back then. I remember when this story was going. So it's kind of an interest to me. And I'm trying to say, I have a complicated relationship with Ryan Murphy, but there are things that I like about the way Ryan Murphy creates TV. So I'm like, so I know it's going to be a good show, and I know it'll be interesting. So I watched it. So I started watching it. I'm like 4 episodes in. The Menendez Brothers movie. But here's the problem with the Menendez Brothers movie, and it's, should have been expected if you know anything about Ryan Murphy. It's very homoerotic, and it's being criticized for not only being homoerotic, which I'm telling you is Ryan Murphy's default setting. It's being criticized for being unnecessarily homoerotic, but also for focusing on an incestuous relationship that went on into adulthood by Lyle and Eric Menendez. Which, by the way, both Lyle and Eric are like, what the fuck, man? That is not true. We were molested as kids and stuff, but so anyway, in the depiction of Lyle and Eric, in Monster, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story on Netflix, first off, Ryan Murphy hired 2 completely chiseled, super handsome dudes, young men, 20, 21 or whatever. They're young guys. They're playing Lyle and Eric, and they are always shirtless, and they are always naked, and a lot of dick. All right, a lot of full frontal dick, because it's Ryan Murphy, and that's what he's about. Which, in and of itself, isn't a problem for me. Should we work through this? All right, should we work through this on the air? Because there is a scene in prison where Eric Menendez makes a friend in the shower. He makes a friend. There's a scene in prison where Eric Menendez makes a friend in the shower, and the camera, it just... The actor who plays Eric, I didn't think that I was going to, get this, like, giant camera hold on his dork for, like 30 seconds, but there it is. I'm like, I'm all conflicted about it because there's a part of me that goes, I don't need to see dick on TV, but I'm perfectly fine with, like, full frontal bush and, like, tits and stuff like that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I am made uncomfortable by, like, dicks. And I'm like, oh man. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that is sort of new territory. Sure, over the years, we've occasionally seen a dick here and there in a movie, right? But it's rare. It's really rare. And it's shocking. It's like, oh, it's dick. Ryan Murphy, he shows a lot of dick. I'm like, ay. So there's that. But also, it really is so... It's very homoerotic. It's like, oh my God, these dudes are going to kiss again. Now they're kissing. And yeah, a lot of it is the two brothers. Like, after they kill their parents, they're like, I love you so much. It's very weird. I don't know that this is actually, the way it was ever portrayed in the media or anything that I ever read back in the... This seems like new to me. And so Ryan Murphy is being criticized for going there. And I'm just here to tell you that that's what Ryan Murphy does. He goes there. He finds the icky part of whatever the sexual orientation is of the person, and he just leans into it. And this one is all about incest. It's not all about incest. It is, as a matter of fact, they never even... Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, so I probably shouldn't go on. But here's the story. Let's see. Camera in the first teaser for Ryan Murphy's new series, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, it didn't so much raise an eyebrow as catapult an eyebrow off of my forehead to the moon. In it, the camera sensually pans around the actors playing the Notorious Brothers as they... shirtless. Oh yeah, there's a lot of shirtless. A lot of these guys like never wear shirts. They're always just walking around all ripped and yoked. Hey bro, want to make out? Like okay, that's not it, but let's see. The camera sensually pans around the actors playing the Notorious Brothers as they shirtless start caressing each other. I'm sorry. You think, are they suggesting that these brothers were having sex? Monsters, which tells the story about the siblings who were convicted of murdering their parents, is now out on Netflix. And that is exactly what the trailer is suggesting, which the show itself stops just short of making explicit. Within the short, yeah, because they do kiss. There are like weird kiss, like brothers don't kiss like that. Brothers do not kiss like that. Brothers do not caress one another. Anyway, I don't want to go into it. Like I said, I think I'm 4 episodes in. I think I'm start episode 5 tonight if I want to watch it. But I don't know, man. Like Monday Night Football into homoerotic Ryan Murphy stuff, that might just confuse the hell out of me. I might be like, nope, can't handle this hard left turn. Flaccid left turn. Let's call it flaccid left turn. Oh, is that it? Is that the next thing? We've never seen on television? Why am I even saying this? Why did I even think about it? Because I said the word flaccid. So this long dick shot in the Menendez movie that I did not like, this long dick shot, it was flaccid. But, okay, forget about that for a minute. So let's establish that the long dick shot is a rarity. It is a rarity. It is not a common thing. Seeing a girl's bush is kind of common in movies now. All the biggest stars have done full frontal nudity. That's not a big thing. the dick is a big thing. So just on its own, the dick is interesting. Is it like another line to cross between an erect penis? Are we going to see an erect penis on a Netflix show, or is that porno? I don't know. I don't even know why I'm thinking about this stuff. I shouldn't be. It's terrible. But, it's what a stream of consciousness does, where I just talk about what's in my mind. All right, the Menendez brothers. It's chock full of like incestual innuendo and weird touching by brothers and kissing. And the Menendez brothers themselves say, we weren't like that. That's not at all what we were. But I say it's Ryan Murphy, and that's what Ryan Murphy wants it to be. So here we are. Here's another interesting story. How about this one? You know what? Can I just also point something out? My Gatorade right there in the camera because I'm not professional. The lighting. The lighting is fucked up. I'm using a different part of the studio. We're doing different things here at the beautiful E-Gallery. I apologize for the lighting today. We've got overhead lights that after this show is over, I have to install more of and reconfigure. So we're going to have overhead lights. So it will be better, I promise. We can get rid of this shit. Is that it right here, or is this it? Yeah, this one. This one. Look at that. Right in the middle of the TV. Stupid light. So I apologize if we're a little bit dark. But I kind of like it, right? I mean, that's not bad. Is this bad? I don't know. I mean, as far as like all of the backgrounds and stuff that we've done, is this the best? I think this might be the best. Is the TV in the background too much? Did I not have a TV in the background, or is it distracting? I don't know. Who cares? Ross says, quote, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. Proceeds to describe wieners and major gayness about Menendez show. I didn't want to get into it, but I also, Ross, you know what I wanted to do even less than get into it? Deprive you people of my untethered rantings. So I just went with it because that's what a stream is. But no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I didn't want to get into it. Yeah, I did. Had a conversation about me looking at dick on TV. Going, I mean, I'm not upset about it. I'm just a little bit shook. I'm just a little bit like, that's not normal. How about this one? John Mulaney, who I think in 2 weeks is going to be the host on Saturday Night Live. Is he the second guest host? He's one of the early guest hosts this year. I love John Mulaney. I think he's one of the best and most interesting. First of all, as far as a stylist, he's one of the more interesting stand-up comedians. He's got a very interesting style of the way he does stand-up comedy. I love him. But also as a writer on Saturday Night Live, he was so great. As it turns out, you learn these things retroactively, that all of these things that you thought were so brilliant were all written by the same one guy, and now he's like your favorite stand-up comic. So I'm very good with John Mulaney. John Mulaney famously had a drug issue, and he had a complete breakdown and had to go to rehab. And he had a baby with Olivia Munn, that beautiful, beautiful half Irish, half Chinese, or whatever she is, girl. Had a baby, and then she broke up with him, and she took control of the baby, and then he went to rehab for a year, and then he got out of rehab, and he did a comedy stand-up special that is one of the greatest comedy stand-up specials I've ever seen. And that is a weird thing to say considering it's only about a year and a half old. But yeah, no, I can already say that. He did the comedy special where he came and he talked about going to rehab, and he talked about his drug battle and all the stuff that happened in the high-profile breakup with the beautiful Olivia Munn and having a baby and all this stuff. And anyway, here we are a couple of years later, and today he and Olivia Munn had another baby. That's right. They got back together. I wasn't even aware that they had gotten back together, but good for them. Olivia Munn, I know that she had breast cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer recently, and she underwent a mastectomy. I don't know if it was I don't, she went through some stuff. That's all we'll say. You can probably research it and find the exact details. I don't need to go into it. But she went through some stuff, and I guess they got back together, and now they had a little girl to go with their little boy. So good for them. I like them. Although I understand that she's kind of difficult. I understand that she's kind of not nice to be around all the time. Kind of a ball buster, but that's okay. It's okay. She's absolutely beautiful. All right, how about a death? Let's talk about a death. Catherine Crosby died. Who's Catherine Crosby? Catherine Crosby died at 90 years old yesterday. Catherine Crosby is the wife of Bing Crosby. Think about that. Catherine, the wife of Bing Crosby, a guy who died in like 1940. And he was like 100 when he died. My point is this. How much of an age difference was there between Bing Crosby and the woman who died? Because she's 90, and Bing Crosby's been dead for 50 years. They were all right, so here you go. So it's Catherine Crosby. She married Bing Crosby. What year? Let's find out. Catherine Crosby, actor and widow of famed singer and Oscar-winning actor and American icon. Bing Crosby is one of the biggest stars in Hollywood history. Do you know what it was like to be Bing Crosby in 1970? Well, one, old, because he was old. But when he was like a god of Hollywood. I mean, Bing Crosby was big. Bing Crosby is the guy that Frank Sinatra shook in his knees over. Bing Crosby is the guy that Frank Sinatra wanted to be. Anyway, she died at 90 years old. Let's see, what does it say here? Catherine Crosby, who appeared in such movies as The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Anatomy of a Murder, and Operation Madball, before marrying famed singer and Oscar-winning actor Bing Crosby, has died. She was 90 years old. She died of natural causes Friday night at her home in Northern California, appearing under her stage name of Catherine Grant. It's a hot name. That's a hot name, Catherine Grant. Doesn't that sound like a beautiful woman? Or a beautiful woman? Doesn't that sound like a beautiful prosecutor from like a television legal show? Catherine Grant for the defense, Your Honor. That's a good name. She appeared as Catherine Grant. Let's see, her other leading men that she'd worked with were Jack Lemmon, Jimmy Stewart. I don't care where she's a Texas girl. She was born in West Columbia, Texas in 1933. All right, here we go. This is the details we want. She met Bing Crosby while doing interviews for a column that she wrote about Hollywood for her hometown paper. They were married in 1957. When she was 23 and he was 54. Bing Crosby. They let you get away. When you're famous, you can do. You know, I have like a 12-year age difference between me. 30-something year age difference for Bing Crosby. That's crazy. But they were married for a long time. And then he died in 77, so she's been without him. How old was she in 77? So if she's 90, oh God, we got to do math. I won't do the math. I won't do the math. Anyway, she's the mom of Mary Crosby from Dallas. Mary Crosby. Who shot JR? Didn't Mary Crosby shoot JR? Right? She was Crystal. Wasn't that who? Oh, Jesus. No, I got to say who. All right, who played Crystal on Dallas? Sorry, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, I believe Crystal shot JR. No, not. Do I have it wrong? Krista? Oh, God. All right. Here's what I'll do. Who did Mary Crosby? That's it. Who did Mary Crosby, daughter of Bing Crosby, and his much younger, now dead wife, Catherine? Who did Mary Crosby play in Dallas? All right, let's see. She played Kristen. Kristen is who she played. right? And Kristen, there we go. Kristen killed JR. Or shot, didn't kill him. Did she? No, I don't know. I need to go back and watch it. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. So she's dead. She's dead, and we're all gonna get through it. Not Kristen, not Kristen from Dallas. She's not dead. Her real life mother, Catherine Crosby, the wife, the much younger wife. That's crazy. And I think they got married in like the 50s, right? So she was real young. Like she was 23. She was 23 and he was like my age. I mean, I can see the appeal. Don't get me wrong. I can flat out see the appeal. But it just seems a little. It just seems a little, I don't know. Not entirely sure. All right, here's another study that was released. How about the top beer nations? Let's talk about this. The top beer nations in the world, okay? Now, the reason I wanted to mention this, because a couple of weeks back, I went through the top beer brands in America. And if you remember, it was... Hold on. Where is it? I can't find it now. Oh, well. If you remember, the story that we talked about back then was that Bud Light, Budweiser, was no longer the biggest beer in America, that it became, it became, what's a Mexican beer? Geez, never mind. This whole story, I hate this story anyway. Number one beer in the world is a Mexican beer. Bigger than Heineken, bigger than Budweiser, bigger than Miller, bigger than Guinness, bigger than all of them. The number one beer in the world is, which one is it? It's one of the Mexican brands. Dos Equis? It's not Dos Equis. All right, you know what? Now I gotta go back to it. There we go. Bum, 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 bum. All right. I'll give you the story. It's Corona. There you go. All right. Corona is the number one selling beer in the world. That's all we needed to know. It was not only the number one selling beer in America, although I don't think it was the number one in America. I think Dos Equis was the number one in America, right? But anyway, Corona has now been named the number one selling beer in the world. Do not sleep on the Mexicans, man. I'll tell you, those people, when it comes to here's what we know about Mexicans. Great food, great culture, great beer. Their beer is great. Corona's great. What else? Great women. Mexican women are great. All right, there we go. Anyway, great beer, great food, great women. What more? I can see why so many dudes marry Mexican ladies, right? Great food, cold beer, beautiful women. That'll work. Yeah, Modelo, that's what it was, right? Modelo is the number one. Thank you, Al. I think Modelo was the number one in America last year. And then Corona was 2, and then Bud had slipped all the way to 3. I don't know why. You know why I can't? I don't drink Modelo. I like Corona. If I'm drinking like out on the boat, like Louisville in the summer, I don't know. There's just something that feels summery. There's something that feels drinkable about Corona, like really cold Corona. And it doesn't need to have a lime, but that's nice. That sometimes when you got a lime, that's a nice little add-on, but doesn't require it. All right, so there you go. What else do we need to talk about here? Do you want to talk a little bit about football? Why not? Before I get out of here, we're running out of time. We're almost at 2:00. We'll talk about some football since that's pretty much all I've been doing for the last 24 hours. Frank says, Mexican hot and worth the chance. You tossed that. I don't know what that was. Barney says, Modelo Especial is the top-selling beer in the U.S. Yeah, that's right, Barney. Thank you. All right, let's talk a little bit about football. We're going to concentrate on the Dallas Cowboys. How about them how about not? I'm not gonna give you any boring sports talk type nonsense. I'm not gonna tell you any stats. I know what I saw. You know what you saw. I don't know what the Cowboys are gonna do, man. And here's how I love. Here's what I love about being able to talk about the Cowboys. Because as I've stated, I do not love the Cowboys. I do not have any sort of, inbred, in my blood, nonsense, a blindness towards the truth of the Cowboys. I like them. And I want them to do well. My son, my 15-year-old son, he's diehard Cowboys. It hurts when they lose. It doesn't really hurt when they lose for me because they're not the team of my youth. We all have a team that we grow up with, and that team is in you and all of that. You can move anywhere else you want, and you can become fans of that team. But it's not really in you. It's not really your thing. And so the Cowboys don't hurt me when they lose the way they hurt, like, say, my 15-year-old son, who is very upset, and rightfully so, as any Cowboy fan should be. But here's the ugly truth, and I won't say this to my kid. I have no idea how the Cowboys get better. If this team that the Cowboys have currently is not the team that you can win a Super Bowl with, I don't know how you get better. I don't know where you're going to get the money to get better. I don't know. You're going to have to cut people. You're going to have to trade people. You're going to have to stockpile picks. You don't have money to spend on anybody. And are you going to keep Micah, or are you going to trade Micah for a bunch of picks and, maybe you get 2 first rounders, maybe get some new line. I mean, this team just needs so much work, and there are so many limited avenues that are apparent. I don't know how they get better. I don't know how they get better. I think they might be stuck with this team, and for the next 5 years or 4 years or whatever it is, for the next 4 years, they're just going to have to do patchwork stuff, and maybe they'll just get lucky in one of those years and they'll ride all the way. But this team that we've seen the last 2 weeks, this defense is awful. This defense is terrible. What is going on with this defense? What is wrong with Mike Zimmer? Jesus, Mike Zimmer went from, preseason. People were like, yeah, it's good to have him back. Our defense was great under him. And it was, and that's how he got a head coaching job. But he lost the head coaching job, and now he's back here. And I got to tell you, I don't know what this is. I mean, and here's what makes it even worse. They got blown out by the New Orleans Saints, who had blown out. Who'd they blow out the week before? They blew out somebody the week before. Anyway, the New Orleans Saints were looking like a juggernaut. So when they blew out the Cowboys, although it hurts to be a Cowboy fan and get blown out that way, you were at least like, well, it's New Orleans. Nobody's going to stop them. Well, guess what? Yesterday, somebody stopped New Orleans. So it's not like they're a juggernaut. I mean, at least you could have had that. If New Orleans had put up another 50 points, then you'd be like, well. And then you could also say, well, the Ravens are good. The Ravens are a very good team, except the Ravens are not a very good team. The Ravens were 0-2 heading into yesterday. The Cowboys are not a very good team. And I thought they were going to the Super Bowl. I seriously did. I mean, I didn't have a prediction or a feeling on that like I've had in other instances, but I just thought, man, they got, especially after they got CD locked up and they got Dak locked up and all those distractions, and maybe Micah's not going to be a distraction, or better yet, you could trade Micah and you could stack up on draft picks. Micah's going to get you a first-round pick. You could roll into the draft next year with 2 first-round picks and a superstar, 2 superstars who are going to be under rookie contracts for 4 years. That's how you win. All right, you got your quarterback and your wide receiver locked up for 4 years. That's a big money hit. But why not? Now you need young players on rookie deals. So, I mean, I just don't know how. I don't know how they do it. So my kid's like, Dad, what if we did that? I go, dude, I don't think you can afford that. The other big story in the NFL is the story of quarterbacks. And I love this thing that we are seeing emerge over the last couple of years in regards to NFL quarterbacks, because as a Chicago Bear fan, I can tell you my city has not seen many great quarterbacks over the years. We haven't. And we also seem to give up on quarterbacks. We move on from quarterbacks, or, it's, my God, it's 3 weeks. The kid threw for 360 yards yesterday, and people are already, I think Caleb might be a bust. I'm like, oh, shut up. Shut up. Wasn't his fault. Again, just like last year, it wasn't Justin's fault. There are other issues. But my point is this. We are seeing quarterbacks who the experts told us were busts, who the experts who first brought them to our attention as generational. Sam Darnold is absolutely, and then, a couple of seasons in, they're like, he's a bust. Sam Darnold is an absolute bust. Sam Darnold is crushing it. Sam Darnold is absolutely a guy who none of us, and we all fall victim to the echo chamber of big NFL. Sam Darnold's a joke. He was backing up the Rams. He never even got on the field last year. Sam Darnold. Didn't you have him number 1 overall as quarterback coming out? No, I don't remember that. No, I always knew he sucked. Sam Darnold can play football, and he is balling out. Finally in a system with a coach and a team that everybody, that's the other thing, the experts all looked at the Minnesota Vikings and were like, they're the worst team in the North. I think the Vikings might win the North with Sam friggin' Darnold. How about Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield, he sucks. Cleveland, get rid of him. Let's hire the rapist and let's replace Baker with the guy who's, can't get a massage in 5 counties in Texas. Fucking they send Baker Mayfield packing. Baker Mayfield balling out after the experts were like, nope, we're done with him. Where else do you want me to go? Jared Goff? Jared Goff in Detroit. The Los Angeles Rams can't win with Jared Goff. We need Matthew Stafford. I know the Rams had a big win yesterday, and good for them. But, Detroit never looked back. Those people in Detroit are like, no, we'll take them. We'll take them, absolutely. Play indoor. So, I don't know. I think this is an interesting year where we're seeing all of this. All of these quarterbacks. Justin Fields, I'm sorry. Justin Fields. 3-0 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I made the joke today, and I was wrong. Somebody pointed it out to me. But I made the joke today, and this was a joke. I'm riding with Caleb. Caleb's my guy. We're fine. That's the decision the team made. Now, but everybody knows that I was a Justin Fields guy, and I root for Justin in Pittsburgh. So, Justin is 3-0. Russell Wilson is never going to see the field. I said that when they traded him there, and they said, well, Russ is going to be our starter. Russell has been promised the starting. I said back then, there is no way if they go through an authentic training camp that Justin Fields loses the position to Russell Wilson at this stage. There's no way. And, they conveniently had a little weird injury to Russell Wilson, which allowed Justin Fields to start. Justin Fields is 3-0. He's not killing it. He played great yesterday, but they're 3-0, man. He's winning games. Justin Fields was a bust who could never play in the NFL. Just a couple of months ago, that's what he was. And look at him now. Do I need to bring up Carr? Geno Smith? Fucking experts. I'm so tired of the experts. And they're like, these people are done. Get rid of them. They're lucky if they can hold a clipboard for a couple more seasons. Well, congratulations to Darnold, to Fields, to Goff, to Carr, to Smith, to Baker, to all of the quarterbacks that the experts first told us were generational and then quickly gave up on and now are like, they're comeback player of the year. I hate football experts. I hate people. What do I always say? What do I always say about the NFL and football experts? I always say, these are people who are claiming that they watch television better than us. That's it. We watch the games too. We read all the sites. We have access to all of the information. And if you're a truly diehard fan, you ingest all of that stuff with the same veracity that these so-called experts who get paid huge dollars do. What are they experts because, they go to the same steakhouse that, some of the players are and the access is at it? You don't get any secrets with access, please. We watch the games. Our opinions as fans are every bit as important and certainly as insightful as some of these idiots. Did you hear Tom Brady yesterday during the Cowboy game? He made that statement that Lamar Jackson was fast. Wow, Lamar Jackson, he sure is fast. I remember when he said it, I went, ugh. And then sure enough, here we go today. That's trending and going viral. Tom Brady. Tom Brady sucks. Tom Brady just makes the obvious. Let me tell you something. I watched that whole game, and I don't know. I think I didn't realize at first it was Tom Brady. It just sounded like a regular dude, and it sounded like a typical big-time football play-by-play team. I thought Tom Brady was fine yesterday. I'm not looking for reasons to shit on Tom Brady. I mean, I have enough. He's a New England Patriot. I fucking hate that guy. I hate his career, so I got enough. I don't need to shit on Tom Brady about doing a pretty good job. I think he's fine. And you want to know why I think it's cool and why I will give him grace as he finds his legs and learns how to do this? Because he's fucking Tom Brady. You want to talk about having expert level analysis? He's the GOAT of quarterbacks, dude. And he's sitting there and you guys are going to, he's boring. Yeah, well, when something comes up and you really just need to hear the apex opinion on it, Tom Brady's your guy. Tom Brady's the best football quarterback in the hit, and I hate him. You know I hate him. But he's the GOAT. So that's his value. His value isn't being, having smooth flow or, not sounding nervous. He's only been doing this for 3 weeks now. Give him a break. He's going to be great. Everybody shits on everybody all the time. Let me tell you something. You don't get to that level without having done it somewhere. And I'm not saying Tom Brady is different. Tom Brady has done the other things that doesn't matter. Tom Brady's never broadcast. He's fucking Tom Brady. Put him in the booth. He's an expert. But as far as like the other broadcasters go, like people shit on Jack or Joe Buck. Joe Buck, I can't watch a game with Joe. Or they shit on Chris Collinsworth's kid. Now, which I get because that's a total fucking Nepo move, but whatever. Like, let's start with Joe Buck. Joe Buck is great. Joe Buck is incredibly good at doing this. I don't understand when people are like, he sucks. Same with the Collinsworth kid. I'm like, man, this kid is smooth. This kid is really smooth. He's good. He's articulate. No, he's not. He sucks because his dad probably got him the job, which I understand that sentiment. I really do. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's fine. I can't remember the last time that there was anybody who did play-by-play that really was so terrible at it that they ruined the experience for me. I don't think that's ever happened. I think it's always just been like, well, whatever. They're all good. They're all fine. I'm seriously trying to think if there's anybody that absolutely sucks. Nobody. Al Michaels last year, there was a lot of Al Michaels. There was a bad booth yesterday for the Amazon Prime games last year, but still at the end of the day, it's Al Michaels. Just because Al Michaels wasn't enthusiastic about the bullshit games that Amazon Prime was getting saddled with. Carolina versus the Washington Commanders on Thursday night prime. Nobody wants to see that game in 2023. So Al Michaels was kind of criticized for that. And I remember hearing him and thinking, yeah, he doesn't really sound like he's into it, but who would be into it? I'm trying to think if there's anybody that's terrible. I don't know. Nobody jumps out at me. We all just like to hate. We all just like to. I'm going to feel better about myself by going on Twitter and saying that Tom Brady is terrible. No, he's not. He's really not terrible. Sounds like a guy who's only been doing this for 3 games. Well, then why is he in there? Because he's fucking Tom Brady. Well, anybody else wouldn't just get elevated to the top booth just like that. Yeah, anybody else isn't Tom fucking Brady. What don't you get? He doesn't have to be the best. He's Tom fucking Brady. He's like football gold, and you have him right there. But no, we'll see where it goes. My point is this. I don't know if he's going to be good. Quite frankly, Tom Brady's got that fuck you money, where if he doesn't want to do this in a year, he's going to be like, yeah, I'm done. They're not going to hold him to a contract. He's like, I'm done. I'll do other things for Fox. But if he doesn't like, he's trying to figure out what he's doing. And I think he's fine. And you do understand that that's coming from a guy who has hated Tom Brady his entire career. So let's just leave him alone. Barney says, I know it's hard to believe, but I was a bit of a contrarian in my youth. I always rooted for the Redskins just to piss off the adults in my life. Washington is the capital. They're Americans. They're America's team. Okay. Barney was a bit of a contrarian and troublemaker in his youth, if you'd like us to know. In his youth. Frankie says Jerry, the owner, didn't want to hire Derrick Henry, the running back. A lot of people didn't want to hire Derrick Henry. The Titans didn't want to hire Derrick Henry, and he had been there. And I got to be honest with you, I think that was more Dallas's run defense than Derrick Henry being back to, 2020 Derrick Henry. Got to be honest with you guys. I don't know that Derrick Henry is all that great anymore, because did you see his backup? Derrick Henry ran, chopped up like 12 yards on a straight up the middle for like 12 yards, ran off the field, and then they brought his replacement in. I think his name was Prince or something like that. They brought his replacement in, and then his replacement went for another 9. So I'm like, I think this is just Dallas's run defense. My God. They didn't look like they could stop anybody last night. Although, let's do this. Let's give credit where credit is due, because this is why I say all is not lost, Cowboy fans. I just don't know how after this season you're able to get better. You got to win with what you got this year, and I say all is not lost because we're only 3 games in. And they can figure it out, and they can get better, and I do believe that Mike Zimmer is a great defensive coordinator, and I think that they can fix it. But that was an ugly couple of games. And the saving grace is, of course, that they were in the game yesterday. That comeback. I mean, that's what you got to look at and go, well, at least there's something. Hey, if there were 5 more minutes in that game, I think the Cowboys would have come back and beaten them. I mean, that was exciting. A couple of things have to go your way, an onside kick and that kind of shit, but it's awesome. That's what football is. The Cowboys did not curl up and die. They actually fought and fought and fought, despite the ineptitude of like a defense that seemed to allow the Redskins, I call them Redskins, Ravens to just run roughshod over them. They were still in that freaking game, man. They fought and battled and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And that's another. I'm a Dak guy. I'm not one of these, get rid of Dak. You get rid of Dak at your own peril. Because ain't nobody want Trey Lance. I see that a lot. People are like, we got Trey Lance. We should let him stop. I'm like, you think Trey Lance is going to be better than Dak? Well, obviously Dak doesn't want to run, so maybe we need a guy who will run. Okay, so the problem there is that you got to have a guy who can do both. Otherwise, when you got Trey Lance in there, the defense is going to know that all he's going to do is run, and you don't want Trey Lance passing. You don't. You want Dak passing. I think Dak can run. I think Dak is about protecting his body, though. And isn't Dak isn't a running quarterback, but Dak's a pretty good scrambling quarterback. He's for a big dude who looks like he shouldn't be that elusive back there. Dak is a good quarterback. And you got him. You got him what, in the 5th? He was a no name. You developed him. You took a guy and you developed him, and now he's an elite quarterback. Whoa, Dak is elite? Yeah, he is. Dak was, in the MVP conversation last year until he had one bad game. Yeah, but he had 17 before that had you guys going, he's an MVP. And then one bad game, it's like, he sucks. We should get rid of him and never pay him. Start Trey Lance. Crazies. Bunch of crazies. You sound like, see, now this is again me speaking as a Cowboy fan who does not have that in the bone marrow thing that causes me to be insane about my evaluations of my team. That's the Bears in me. But you get me talking about the Bears, I'll say all kinds of stupid shit. That like, no, it's not over. What do you mean? I get dumb with the Bears. I get stupid because I'm irrational when it comes to the Bears. I still root for the Cowboys, and I like the Cowboys, and I prefer when they win over when they lose. But I'm not irrational. I know what I'm looking at. I'm trying to prepare my kid for it. Joel Lem says, Dak reminds me a lot of Donovan McNabb. God, I love Donovan McNabb. I used to love that kid. Frankie says the Cowboys need a Guyton, the D-line plugging holes and O-line blocking for Dak. Yeah. Now they need linemen. Hey, look, my Chicago Bears are going through that. We got us a fancy quarterback and an equally fancy wide receiver with 2 top 10 picks in the draft last year. And boy, oh boy, we got dazzled with the ideas of just high-flying balls all over. And we cornered the market on wide receivers. Here we go. We got no offensive line. We did nothing. It's the same offensive line that had Justin Fields running for his life for 3 years. And by the way, I was the guy going, it ain't Justin Fields. It's the line, right? And everybody was like, no, Justin can't play in this league. I'm like, yeah, he can. Because when he has time, he's great. So we went out and we had 2 top 10s and we took a wide receiver and a quarterback thinking, the line will be fine. It was Justin. Justin was the problem. Oh, stop it. He's 3-0 behind a line that's giving him time to work. They're allowing Justin Fields to be that real legit double threat that Lamar Jackson is, which is a guy who can pass and run. Last year, Justin Fields can't pass. Yeah, he can. He doesn't have much time. He's usually running for his life, but when he does, yeah, he can. See Ohio State, for crying out loud. So we've got a 22-year-old quarterback. My Chicago Bears. We got a 22-year-old quarterback. Generational. He's generational, they tell us. Got a 22-year-old quarterback, and we just got him out there running for his fucking life. It is fun to watch him run and scramble. It is fun because that is the difference, I will say, between Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. Justin Fields was a running quarterback who, if he decided that the play with the passing wasn't there, if he looked at his checkdowns and it wasn't there, Justin Fields was ready to take off and take 30 yards on his own. And that's great. And I love that. And it's why I still say Justin Fields is the most exciting guy with the ball in his hands the Chicago Bears has ever had. Ever. Because he's always the quarterback. He always had it in his hands. So he'll, breaks down and he looks to run. Caleb is not a running quarterback. He's very fast, and we've seen him run and break plays, but he doesn't look to run. He's a scrambling quarterback. And the difference here is that he will scramble and be elusive back there for as long as he can, looking for the throw, the long throw. And that's the difference. Justin wasn't looking downfield looking for the throw. Justin was looking for the hole to go and run and take a 20-yard, game. And then, huddle up and plan the next play. So that's the only difference. The only difference is that Caleb is always looking to throw, but when he takes off, he can't take off. And I don't know why I feel the need to explain the difference between a running quarterback and a scrambling quarterback. Some running quarterbacks can scramble as well, and some scrambling quarterbacks can certainly run, but there is a difference, and we're seeing it in Chicago. Justin Fields, running quarterback who can pass. Caleb Williams is a scrambling quarterback who's always looking to pass. All right, what else? Anything else going on today? We got somebody in the chat room I can say hi to? I don't think so. All right, I got to start working on the lights here, so we're going to do that. It'll be good. We'll have better lighting tomorrow. Appreciate you hanging out with me today. Again, if you want to help support the show, there you go. We'll put the tip line up there. It's been up there the whole damn show. Thank you all for hanging out. And follow, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Join me again tomorrow for more talk radio. 2 hours, a stream of consciousness of just absolutely everything that you need to know about today or that day. We are the Radio Misfits Dallas. Check us out, radiomisfits.com.